Oh, it's me, the ghost of Santa, here to bring you a bonus episode of The Hill is Always Greener, a podcast where four friends chill on this snowy, cold December evening to talk about Sonic-related things and have a generally good time. And, hey, this is Jake, talking regular now.
Okay, good, because you just implied that Santa dies after Christmas.
Well, there's a new one.
He comes back in time for the next one, yeah.
Okay, I suppose that's how he's been around so long. He only exists for one day.
Yes, that is exactly how it works, and don't let the knife hidden behind me tell you otherwise.
The sacrifice for the new Santa.
But yes, I am RockTheJake.
I am GameBuddy, also known as Jeremy, to actually most of the rest of the world.
I am CyberLink, and I am innocent until the courts say otherwise.
And I'm Faulerro. I didn't have a funny thing to add to that, so...
Bah humbug!
Perfect!
This is a Sonic Cod podcast, by the way, in case you didn't know from all our
this is a podcast,
Santa-related banter right off the bat.
Santa, if you will.
Yeah.
As we've discussed previously, Sonic has a bit of a history with Santa Claus himself. So
Yeah, he's
he is Santa Claus.
You're right.
Yes, he is the new Santa Claus. But only on Mobius. I think each planet has its own Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have enough time to get into like all of the Santa cosmology that's involved in all this.
No, we don't have Demon Tomato Dave on here. He would give us the entire rundown of Santa.
Genealogy.
So today's episode is going to be just a little bit more laid back and just fun. But before we get to that, a few of us have some Sonic-y stuff we wanted to mention.
Oh, yeah. Well, since it's not to pull the curtain too far back, but it's been a little bit since the last time we recorded. And I think last time Luke mentioned how he had played actually for us Sonic Triple Trouble 16-bit, which is that fan-made remake that came out. And I picked it up right after that stream, and it is fantastic. I haven't made it too much farther than Luke did. I have not dived into, well, I won't spoil it, but the post-game content, wink. But man, it is super good. It really feels like a, very much in the vein of like the other updates of classic Sonic games. But it is, I'm just kind of in awe. Like I really do see all of the hard work that went into this one. It's much more than just copy pasting the original Game Gear game onto a new look.
Yeah, much credit to Noah Copeland, if that's how you say his name, for making this one. It's quite... I've not actually played far into it myself, but yeah, Luke did demonstrate it for us, and they obviously went into this to the idea of not just making Triple Trouble a Mega Drive / Genesis game, but like making it the next in the series after Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Like canonically, like in terms of chronology, it's really good.
Yeah, the changes made feel very meaningful, and it all comes together in a way that I don't think I originally expected, but I'm super pleased with.
I really love and I'm want to make sure that I am saying this in a completely positive way. I love that the story that has been added to the game feels very much like what a super diehard Sonic fan would put in like a Genesis style cutscene, but like the Sonic team probably wouldn't go that elaborate, but I love it. I think it works super well. Again, I don't want to spoil anything because everybody should just go play this. I'm pretty sure it's not intensive on any machine, but I really do like all of the little extra stuff and the story bits and all that jazz. It's super good.
Plus, you can toggle between Knack and Fang if you're into that. Like on the options menu, you can pick the name of the character.
Yeah,
that
is such a nice little thing. I can't remember what are some of the other options. I can't remember if the all the Sonic special moves are toggleable or just included because, hey, that's what you do in a Sonic game. If the drop dash and the figure 8 peel out isn't in there, then can you really call it a Sonic fan game? But
absolutely not.
I have not played all the way through it yet, but I also played some of Sonic and the Fallen Star, which is another Sonic fan game that came out around I think the same time as Triple Trouble 16-bit, and is also really nice. It's everything looks custom as far as the artwork, the backgrounds, like the music, I'm pretty sure is all original. And I wasn't sure when I'd seen video footage of it how it was going to play, but it actually plays really well. Like if I had to compare it to something, it reminds me of the advanced games. If that makes sense. Like there's a lot of like focus on like hitting ramps to make it up to like the high paths on levels, but that are super, super high up. Like the screen just doesn't stop scrolling up. The good thing about it is it's zoomed way out. You know, it's a widescreen game made for that. And so, you know, unlike the advanced games, it doesn't feel like kind of cramped, like you can see all of the obstacles in front of you. But it's really nice, very pretty. It's got like a little pantomime story to it. That seems really cute. It really is just Sonic is looking for pieces of this fallen star that Eggman seems to want because it's magic. But it's really good. I want to go download the soundtrack by itself and give that a listen. But yeah, just some good fan game recommendations.
The Sonic Triple Trouble 16-bit looks really cool, and I'm going to download that and check it out myself, because the cool thing about this podcast is I've been more exposed to some of these Sonic fan games, and they good. The ones that we've been talking about, they good. So,
oh, trust me, we are going to have plenty more to talk about Sonic fan games in the future.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing, yeah. Like, I'm glad we can serve the purpose of being here for you to Jake, to find out about all these nerdy Sonic things that you might not have gone into otherwise. That's what we're here for.
I am the audience proxy, so I'm learning along with everybody else.
Yes, let us drag you down as deep as the rest of us.
You thought you escaped to the real world when you got married. Oh, not to be, my son.
Yeah, I was going to say, since we're pulling the curtain back a little bit, the last episode we recorded, I was, as you would say, legally single. Now I am legally married. I am a married man, and it's awesome.
Yay! Congratulations!
Oh, thank you. I got married in a barcade, and one of the machines in that arcade was, I think it was like a custom like arcade machine that at one point was playing Sonic the Hedgehog 1.
Ooh, nice.
And man, I kept hearing it as we were like setting up stuff and like decorations and stuff, and I was like, I'm going to play that tonight. And then I got
I thought it was really weird that you got Sinistar to be your minister, but I didn't want to, judge you personally.
Love, coward.
Yeah, it was weird that he kept, interrupting the ceremony to talk about how he hungered, and it's like, come on, dude, the reception's going to be right after this. You can wait until then.
That happened, and that was amazing and wonderful, and I'm so glad it was part of it. And I'm glad that my friends here on the podcast were able to watch it, because I was able to stream the ceremony too. So thank you guys for being a part of it, and legitimately knowing you guys were watching, as well as many others, but especially y'all. It made me so happy. So thank you guys.
Absolutely.
The future.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool. I saw your graduation as well on live stream.
Yeah.
So.
I remember that too.
Oh, we're connected to Jake through the power of the internet. I quite like that.
Truly magical.
Yep.
Yay, internet. I know that there's other reasons to say boo, internet, but yay, internet in these cases.
They're one of the good things.
Yep.
But I hope that in the spirit of Sonic 1 playing in the background as you got married, this is the genesis of something really special. As you were able to Mega Drive your way back to wherever it is you went after the wedding. Anyway, moving on.
I was
Master System.
Yes.
But I have a very small, non-married, but still Sonic-related thing to mention before we get into the episode proper.
Please.
And I think we're actually thinking about talking about this like brand later on as a potential episode later down the line. But a friend of mine who works at Walgreens, he got me a few Jakks Pacific Sonic figurines, like just little ones that like are very comfy on a desk. So I got them out of their cases, and I have and it's cool because they have articulating limbs and stuff. So I've got the crab robot, I've got Sonic with his thumbs up, and I've got Metal Sonic, and I've got them neatly arranged in front of an R-Wing on one of my bookcases.
Oh, nice.
So it's it's a tiny thing, but it's actually kind of cool to have tiny little figurines of Sonic and stuff up there.
Yeah. Is it the little whatchamacallit, little 2.5, the mini figures, not the big ones?
Yeah.
What are those, 4 inches?
Yeah, they're probably 2.5 inches, if that.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of my bigger ones that always fall over because it's on a wall that has a door on it. So anytime someone closes the door, they fall. But I'll figure it out. But yeah, I like those figures. I can't remember off the top of my head the last company that did Sonic toys, but I always thought these were a minor step up in quality, and they're real nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will have to talk about all those Sonic toys someday.
Yeah, definitely. And I do like the fact that they're smaller so that they don't take up much room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they fit well. They don't take up that much room unless you get the zone play sets to put them all on.
Ooh.
I've got the Green Hill, the Studiopolis. I haven't seen that flying battery one yet, but I'll probably stick that on a shelf somewhere because they're really cute.
Sweet.
So I guess with that all out of the way, it sounds like it's a good time to get into our main topic, which we're calling the 12 Zones of Christmas.
It's 12 because we needed to narrow it down and just kind of stumbled into the of Christmas theme.
This was not intentional, but I'm glad it worked out the way it did, which is the story of my life.
Yeah. Yeah, we cut down. I mean, we basically went to every Sonic fan wiki and searched by ice, snow, zone, and then cut out a bunch of the repeats and ended up with this nice little list with which Luke graciously made us a playlist of YouTube videos, so we didn't have to play through all of these games just to get to these levels.
Yeah. And we're basically just talking about hey, this one's cool. This is what I like about it. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, some are definitely from either games I've barely played or just completely forgot. But I mean, these are not in.
So what we're going to do is we're going to go through these 12 zones we picked out in chronological order, and then we're going to stack rank them to basically see how we think each one stacks up against the others. Everybody probably knows what's going to be number one just because it is what it is, but I'm interested to see kind of how everybody's opinions falls on each one, and we'll see how these shake out.
Yeah, we'll do some unofficial categorical comparisons.
Yeah.
Do you like top 10 lists, kids? Because this isn't one of those, but it's the
top
closest thing
12.
we're going to get to one. Yeah, that's right.
Let's start with, as far as I know, the very first winter-themed zone in any Sonic game, Icy Isle from Sega Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yep, the arcade one with Almighty and Ray.
It's definitely not the first one I played, but I guess the first one that ever existed, so alright.
Yep, I'm again remembering our discussion way back when about this game, and how the zones aren't super unique because they all kind of have the same kind of traps and a couple of different gimmicks, but I like the look, even if it is kind of, just plain ice, but the music is real nice. And also the video for this one you included, Luke. I guess I did not realize that you can have multiple players on Sega Sonic Arcade because the video has all 3 characters at once, and I was like, well, that's just diddly dang adorable.
I mean, that is the main.
that.
That's the reason there's 3 of them, so you can technically, conceivably play it with 3 people. But good luck finding people who want to play a trackpad game.
Yeah.
Good luck also finding a copy of the game to play with 3 people.
Yeah. I still think that's the dream for us. But if only there was a 4th character, so Jake could play.
Yeah.
I'll just be on the sidelines going, rah, rah, go, woo!
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't have to play it, so you'd be the lucky one. No, I actually quite like this game. But
My hands are intact.
true.
The biggest thing about this game is that I can't remember. Was it only Luke has played it on real hardware?
Yes.
Am I remembering that correctly? Okay,
Yeah.
as far as I remember. And I do think that's probably where this game shines, because we talked about how hard it was to get going in MAME, and then even not really how it's supposed to. So I sure, you know, in a my perfect one wish world is that this would get ported and properly adapted to a regular controller. But I like this level. It's very cute. Like I said, I was surprised at how catchy all the music in Sega Sonic Arcade is, and this is a nice little tune. Which I mean, if ice levels in Sonic are to go by, we're definitely going to be like, "Yep," and the music.
Yeah,
it does. It doesn't distinctly sound particularly icy or wintry. But I guess you're less focused on the wintry atmosphere than you are trying to stay alive as ice blocks try to hurtle you to your death, I suppose.
Yes, and your characters are shrieking.
Stalactites falling behind you.
and spears coming out of the ground.
Yeah, it's a big old mess. I quite like it.
It's interesting that this is more of like an artificial ice cavern compared to the more natural environment seen in most of the other stages we're going to look at today.
Mm-hmm.
It's the shortest, I think, because all of the stages aren't that particularly long.
Yeah, it's just under 2 minutes to get through it.
It's a mad dash, so you don't spend a lot of time appreciating this world. But if you like your icy environments to be deadly rather than I don't know, pleasant, this is the one for you.
Well, so should we just go ahead and put this next one up at number 1?
Yeah, I mean, Icy Isle is the best Sonic stage for the split moment. Okay, it's getting dethroned. Now we're in Ice Cap.
Yeah.
And this is every version of Ice Cap we decided to look at. All the official ones.
Yeah, we thought about splitting them up, but it didn't make much sense in the end.
Yeah.
And also it would have broken the 12-zone theme.
Like, we could have potentially split Sonic Adventure and Sonic 3, since they're the most varying versions but they are just the same sort of level.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's some snowboarding, there's some ice, there's some snow. You go up and down and all around. Wait, that's another level.
It is very different it is very funny that they are incredibly different levels, but it literally is the same location on Angel Island.
Oh yeah, it is.
Or is it? If we go by the concept of the two different worlds of Sonic, and whereas the modern world is now separate.
They undid that. We're not allowed to talk about it anymore.
I was just gonna say, like, a few years went by, and a little bit of snowdrift, a little bit of tectonic plate shifting.
Yeah. It's fallen a couple of times in between then, so
that's probably the biggest change, actually.
Yeah. But then is Red Canyon just Lava Reef?
I've had that theory for a while. It's like the outside of Lava Reef. And, And hot,
Ice Cap, specifically Sonic 3 Ice Cap, that no matter which official music track is on it, is one of the nicest looking levels in that game. And just a bona fide classic. Like, we talked a lot about how I think maybe if you ask the general population, they would remember Casino Night from Sonic 2, but I think, like, once you get a little deeper under the surface of Sonic fandom, you'll have people who are like, oh yeah, I associate Sonic with Ice Cap from Sonic 3 because of the snowboard and the music and the... I love the melancholy, like, indoorsness of Act 1, and then how that kind of strips away. The sun comes out of the snow clouds into Act 2.
Unless you're playing as Knuckles.
And that kind of carries over into the adventure version as well, where you spend most of the first half of the stage inside, like, the limestone cave, jumping from icicles and looking around, or fishing if you're big.
Yeah.
Then you break out and the avalanche starts coming down. You got to snowboard for your life.
Yep. I even like how ambient the music in the Sonic Adventure version is in that first part. It's almost not really a song. It's very discordant, but it's very pleasing. And then yes, the avalanche
At which point you be cool, be wild, and you be groovy.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, you do.
So I have a fun story to associate with the music on that. At my job, I work at a TV studio, and one of the things that we do in the morning before the show is we do what's called faxing, which is just like making sure the cameras are all working, like audio and video and all that. And one of my jobs on the mornings that I'm assigned to it is I get to play some music to make sure that the person on the camera is hearing the audio. And I've made a big old playlist of music to play, and one of the songs, actually quite a few of the songs, come from the Sonic Adventure theme, or Sonic Adventure soundtrack, and one of them is the Be Cool, Be Wild song.
That one?
Yeah.
Oh, that is super good.
Yeah, and some of my older coworkers have listened and commented on it, and they say it sounds kind of like it's just like some classic rock acts that have come and gone. Mm-hmm. So it's cool to have that kind of connection with it, and so thank you, Ice Cap.
That is definitely one of the tracks that I most heavily associate with Sonic Adventure in my mind. Like, it's one of the ones that really sticks out, and I think that that music combined with the snowboarding segment is just one of those set pieces that really leaves an impact on anybody playing Sonic Adventure.
Yep, I can close my eyes and hear what the weird crumbling noise. Sonic turns around, the wow, the sound of those weird Eggman jet fighters that buzz you going down. Yep. And especially if you're playing the Tails ones, all of Sonic's, hey, you made it! Oh, hey. Yeah.
Patronizing fuck.
That is definitely burned into my brain forever.
But the big question is, on topic of soundtracks, which one are we picking when it comes to Sonic 3's Ice Cap?
Well, I mean, I think there is no way in the universe I could say anything other than Hard Times, which, sorry, it is literally just that song.
You're not going to pick the version from Sonic Drift 2?
Yeah, that is the other Ice Cap, which I don't have much to say except I like the little tubes you can kind of ramp up and down on that track. Yeah. That is super cool. I mean, that's it's kind of hard to compare the music on the Game Gear one. It's a little muddy, but it's a nice little stage. Sonic Drift is a competent little racer.
But yeah, it's really hard to shake Hard Times. For those who don't understand what we're talking about when we say that, because they're not big old nerds, that is the original as released Ice Cap Zone from Sonic 3 music that we do not have in Sonic Origins, so you missed out on your chance for that one, kiddos. It's a lovely little tune.
Composed by Brad Buxer, who now we also know is the guy who did all of the Michael Jackson associated Sonic music, which, yes, I Hard Times is a fantastic song on its own. Like, if you've never heard the full version, it's just a nice little, I think was composed in the 80s and wasn't properly released because it's a, kind of a lost song EP. From Buxer's group, the Jet Zones.
Until now.
Until now, yes, exactly. But that is one of the beta tracks that really wormed its way in my brain as being really catchy in the Origins version. And like we said, it was also in the PC version in MIDI form, and was on the Sonic 3 prototype. It is very different, but then it's weird that it's different, but also in the same vein as other Sonic tracks in Sonic 3, if that makes sense.
It does sound a bit more stereotypically Ice level. I don't know what it is, but there's something twinkly about it that sort of makes me think of, I could hear this in lots of other platformer games that just happen to have a snow level.
Mm-hmm.
But it's good. I think it's quite good. I just think it's really, really hard to beat Hard Times.
Yes.
Because there's something weird about it. Like, there's a reason it was, like, the most remixed Sonic song on OC Remix for, like, the longest time.
Oh,
It's
for
a
years.
fascinatingly unique song.
It was constantly battling between basically that and Chemical Plant for the biggest number of remixes.
Yeah. It can be adapted into various sort of means, but most people like doing dance and trance remixes of it because, I don't know, man, there's something about that bass line and the melody, and there's something melancholic about it, and it's good.
Yes, I remember distinctly the speaking of OC Remix, their Sonic Chaos, Sonic 3 and Knuckles remix album. The one track they did for Ice Cap, it's a very sad like piano track that still takes the main melody from Ice Cap, but I remember I loved that.
Not what you would have expected after because they probably heard like the millions of other remixes on the site where it's like, well, I've got to take a completely different turn.
Yes.
It's like the old piano forte.
Yeah.
Gotta shake it up.
Speaking of like kind of the melancholic quality to it, since we are talking about Christmassy kind of stuff, it kind of reminds me of some of my personal thoughts I've had about Christmas music in general and why I think it works so well and why it's so popular. I think part of what makes a really good Christmas song is there is like a hint of melancholy. Like, there's a lot of really popular songs, like even older ones that like have at least like a hint of like drama or sadness to it. Like Elvis Presley, like I'll have a blue Christmas without you.
Yeah.
When I think of melancholic Christmas songs, I immediately think of like Christmas Time Is Here from the Peanuts Christmas special.
Yeah. There's something about the tunage and the both the melody and like the minor scale melodies of Christmas songs that it brings a sense of longing. And so all that to say, there is that kind of melancholic feel in Ice Cap too. And who can say if Brad Buxer, if that's exactly what he was going for and if that's the thought he had. Maybe I'm just out of my mind, but
I don't think it was going to be originally a Christmas song, but maybe I was wrong. Maybe that's what he was thinking of, the hard times of the winter.
Yeah, I mean,
honestly,
you listen to the lyrics of the song, it's not very happy.
Yeah, no, hard times gone by.
I do not think the character who is singing is like happy necessarily.
I don't think he was imagining Blue Hedgehog snowboarding down an icy mountain.
No, but that didn't stop them
not.
from putting Ice Cap on the cover of the vinyl release years later.
Yeah, of course they did, cheeky bastards.
One of my prized possessions is that the 45 LP of Hard Times just straight up uses the Ice Cap's background sprites.
That's
because
awesome.
I'm sure there was a little bit of what are you gonna do, huh? Oh, I love that. Mm-hmm.
That said, I do have to give a shout out to the legally distinct version used in LEGO Dimensions.
Oh yeah!
Actually, like, way better than I expected it to be. It's a pretty good kind of imitation of Hard Times while being distinct enough to be its own thing. Of course, obviously, Sega can't use that either because it's technically owned by Warner Brothers Games. So,
oh god, and they're seconds away from blipping it out of existence forever. I'm sure. Oh lord.
Yeah, enjoy those Sonic Lego levels while you still can.
yeah.
Drink up me hearties, yo ho.
I completely forgot about that one until I saw it again. Which didn't you get me the Lego Dimensions Sonic set, Luke, for
I
my
probably
birthday or
did.
something? Just
I shilled
randomly out
that
of
game
nowhere.
hard back in the day.
I think you did. I still have it, and I've played those Sonic levels, which are pretty solid from what I remember.
Yeah. Like, it's very clearly, force a engine that wasn't really built for speed to do Sonic speeds, and it doesn't always work, but I give them props for trying, and there's a lot of charm to it, but we will definitely have to, devote either an episode or a section of an episode to that game one of these days.
Yeah, that might fit
mean,
right in with a toys discussion.
It's written by Sonic nerds. Like,
Yes.
I mean, it's made by the people who made, 3D Blast and an R, so
That's
the lineage is there.
Yep. Which this next one, hey, speaking of what we were talking about earlier, it's Sonic Triple Trouble.
Yep. It's the Robotnik Winter Zone.
Yes, called Robotnik Winter Zone, apparently in every language, which is kind of wild.
It's a choice.
It is specifically his winter. Specifically his.
Is it his because he found the one wintry part of wherever this is taking place and just plopped one of his bases down?
He's trying to induce nuclear winter.
Yeah.
He made an evil snow machine. What does it do? It makes snow, but evilly.
I mean, what do you... if we really wanted to speculate on it, what if it was like Gerald Robotnik trying to help rebuild the glaciers, but it went horribly wrong?
Yeah.
And then Metal Sonic crashed into the lava, and then...
Oh, no.
Oh, no, now this Land of the Sky is going to split apart.
This is a really, which this really comes across in the fan remake, but this is almost like a spiritual sequel to Ice Cap, because Sonic starts out on his little snowboard and picks it up again, I think, later in the level.
Yeah.
And it's super cute. It's so interesting to, I love the fan remake, but also to see that the Game Gear original is also pretty elaborate in the, all the little gimmicks with the snowboard and Sonic's. I love his little sprite where he's basically riding it kind of like a wakeboard in his little sprite pose, and I like this level. Again, the music is a little it's stripped back compared to like a Genesis game, but I do like the overall melody on this one.
Yeah, I appreciate the use of little drifts of thicker snow that will slow you down on occasion or get you stuck until you jump out. That's something that I feel like you should have in a snow level, because if you've ever tried walking in heavy snow, it's not easy.
Yeah, no.
Oh boy. I've not had the pleasure of walking through real thick snow. I think I've only done fake snow at a ski lodge in North Carolina. But...
Interesting. Because we typically don't get it either. We don't get it either, but suddenly a few years ago, inexplicably, it was like, hey, have all the snow. And that was a fun experience.
Yep. Getting putting 1 foot down and then realizing your shoes are not waterproof, and so you're immediately soaked.
If you ever want a 20-minute journey to become an hour journey, then experience snow. That'll bring it to you.
Yep.
Can we talk about the real highlight of this level, by the way? The centerpiece, the piece de resistance.
I was so hoping we would get there, because this is the thing that it's definitely going to put it over Icy Isle. I don't know that it's going to put it over Ice Cap, but we need to talk about the legend.
The boss of this level is a giant floating penguin with the intimidating, terrifying moniker of Giga Thomas.
AKA Pin. Oh, yes. I remember stumbling upon this when we were making the list and just did a double take saying, did you know the boss at the end of Robotnik's Winter is Giga Thomas?
Not just any old Thomas.
We geeked out so hard for Giga Thomas when we ran into him during that stream of Triple Trouble 16-bit.
Yes, it's so good. Oh man, I love his design. I love the we got pictures from the manual. His fully realized design is basically just a penguinator, but with little jets.
He's got metal Sonic eyes as well. Which is
very much so.
I feel like they kind of blended the design of the penguinator and the battle birds from Tails Adventure.
Yeah,
he does have that beak, doesn't he?
This looks like if Tux from the old Sonic games got turned into a Metallics in STC.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Which, I discovered mostly doing research while editing the turtle badnik enemy from Sonic Heroes' official name is Cameron. So he and Thomas are chips off the old block there.
Isn't there like the Gold Cameron as well?
Yes.
Gold Cameron and Giga Thomas unite for an unstoppable duo.
Hanging out at the bar.
I support the idea of giving more Robotnik bandnicks just people names.
Yep. Just funny names.
That's an Eggman touch. He's just like, and I shall call you Thomas.
Yeah.
And I will call you Mega Chris.
Oh hell yeah! that's my OC. If the people behind the next Sonic movie are real fans, they're gonna make Tom Wachowski get like roboticized and turned into Giga Thomas.
Actually, Robotnik did say he wanted to make human slaves for making robots, so maybe he'll put Thomas in a penguin robot, and then Thomas will be the thing that that powers the robot.
Tyson, you have the power to make this happen.
We know you're listening.
The dramatic scene where Sonic is shouting at his adopted father. You have to fight it, Tom! You can do it!
You're not a penguin, you're a man!
Become Giga Thomas!
Just shoots out like donut-shaped energy blasts, like Mecha Sonic when he turns super at the end of Sonic 3.
Yeah.
And then Jim Botnick just looks at the camera and winks really, really hard.
They didn't script that. He just chose to do it.
Yeah.
He did his research.
Yeah.
He absorbs so much chaos energy that he can break the fourth wall.
Yeah, we're going to slot Robotnik Winter right in there between Ice Cap and Icy Isle.
I think that's safe to say. Thank you, Thomas. You made this happen.
You are the true Giga Chad. To get back to us talking about Traveler's Tales before, let's jump forward to Sonic 3D Blast with Diamond Dust Zone.
Oh, yeah.
So what we're looking at is one that's got representations on both the Mega Drive / Genesis and the Sega Saturn. Because that's Sonic 3D Blast for you.
Yep. Like, I am more familiar with the Saturn music because that was what was in the PC version, but I feel like the Genesis Mega Drive version of the music seems to come back a lot in different contexts. Like, it was in Generations, it's in Sonic Dash for that, snow level, stuff like that. And I think they're both really good tunes. Like, the one in the Mega Drive version is definitely a lot more upbeat. It feels more Sonic-y, I would say. But to go back to our earlier discussion, I think the Saturn one has more of that melancholy that we were talking about for the Ice Zone. And I think I guess it depends on how you play the game, because if you're speed running through the level, then I think that the Genesis version is more your speed, no pun intended.
Yeah.
Because it's just that it's a lot bouncier, it's got more of a beat to it, whereas, with the Richard Jakes version on Saturn, it slows it down a lot, which makes more sense if you're kind of slowly hunting for flickies. And just, I think it works a little bit better with the mood that the Saturn version is trying to convey, thanks to the extra visual effects and stuff with the falling snow and the more visible, iced over portions, the higher definition textures and whatnot.
There's a bit of a mist going on. It gives you that kind of lost and lonely vibe. I kind of like it. There's also a little bit of chestnuts roasting on the open fire, sort of brought up in the melody there.
Yeah. And to be perfectly honest, that's probably how most of the casual player are going to be going through Sonic 3D Blast, is meticulously and a little slower because it's hard to get the hang of that game. Although I forever have a soft spot for the director's cut, which was a ROM hack of the Genesis game by the original director of the game, I believe, who basically said, hey, we intended for a lot more fixes and content to go into this game, and it just never happened. So here is almost decades after the fact.
Yeah, here are the changes I would make after 20 years of hindsight.
Yeah. Who'd have thought an actual director's cut by the actual director of the game? Sonic Adventure.
Right.
Yeah. And I like that version of that game. 3D Blast is never going to be on the top of my favorite classic Sonic games, but I do really like that director's cut.
Yeah.
I think the changes it makes are real nice. And yeah, I really, again, as far as the music goes, like, I super recognize the Genesis Mega Drive tune more because it comes back in future titles and gets referenced a lot. But yeah, the Saturn music is really nice and much more dynamic, just because, again, a change in format from a cartridge to a disc. But yeah, I definitely agree that they both fit the platforms that they are on. And,
Yeah.
Man, I sure want to play the Saturn. Maybe I'll have to settle for the PC version of 3D Blast too.
I mean, I was happy enough with the PC version as a kid, so...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I also really like just the use of the winter theming in this zone. Like, there's a lot of really good elements. Obviously, you've got the slippy floors, kind of a requisite for a snow ice level, but you've also got like a bunch of snow themed enemies, like snowmen that explode and snowmen with guns, and like
Snowmen with guns.
The thing that I always remember is like the wavy, undulating snow that Sonic has to like jump across to get further into the level. Like, that always stuck out as like a really cool effect in my mind, even back then. And it's one of those things that really helps to kind of set games like 3D Blast apart from the rest of their Sonic kin.
It is an objectively weird title that is not true 3D. It's your isometric. I don't know what the name is for that technique where it's, Donkey Kong Country style.
Yeah, like pre-rendered.
Yeah, pre-rendered.
Yeah.
And it's, I do look back on it with kinder eyes now as a fun little experiment.
Like, honestly, having watched a lot of the behind-the-scenes videos that John Burton has put up on his YouTube channel over the years, it's just impressive that they were able to get the game running at all and as well as they did. Like, it is a technical showcase, to be sure.
Is John Burton Game Hut?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, because I was going to do a shout out, but there we go. Yeah.
Like, I definitely think that Diamond Dust is better than Robotnik Winter and Icy Isle. Does it top Ice Cap?
Yeah, no.
No, I don't think so.
Why would you even suggest that?
I have to ask.
It was on the Mega Drive initially, so I suppose it has that going for it, but no.
Mm-hmm. I do agree with its current placement. I think its design aspects trump the other two.
Yeah, so Diamond Dust is now our new number 2. And speaking of number 2s, let's jump forward to Sonic Advance 2.
Woo!
Oh, good. That's the direction you're going with that.
I knew what I was doing.
Don't be nasty.
So yeah, we're jumping forward to Sonic Advance 2 with Ice Paradise Zone.
I would like to say I look forward to the day where we go into this game for a full episode, because this game is awesome.
I know. I think I'm almost ready to replay the Advanced trilogy.
Yeah, I definitely want to give those their fair due when the time comes.
Yes.
This was a particular Sonic time, I guess, crossed over with, I have access to the internet and message boards, because I remember, like, everybody under the sun taking the sprite sheets from the advanced games and making their own little comics and forum banners and avatars, and so these games do hit a different bout of nostalgia in my brain.
It's funny because this zone originated in Advance 2, but I think more people played it through Ultimate Flash Sonic.
Oh,
my goodness.
Probably right. This was one of the ones in that one. Yep. Yeah, looking through the various videos, and especially like the speedrunning of these levels, I know Advance 2 is kind of infamous for having so many collectibles and, making you get the Chaos Emeralds with every character to unlock Amy, and then doing it all over to get her true ending. But did kind of forget that the traversal in this game is based on a lot of like extra tricks the characters can do. Like I think you hit the shoulder button on the Game Boy Advance and hold a direction, and you can get some extra verticality, or do a spinning like with Sonic, like a kicking move to get some momentum, or even like straight up like backflip backwards to reverse your momentum, to grab items or make some jumps. And I really like that, and this is a very pretty level. I was forgetting how vibrant the Game Boy Advance palette is, and there's a lot going on in the background, and how this almost seems thinking of like Ice Cap or levels we're fixing to talk about, and almost seems like the high paths on a skiing mountain. There's lots of rails for Sonic to grind on, but it doesn't feel like a wasteland in the middle of nowhere,
which is typically what Sonic Ice levels are. This is very much like I would say almost urban kind of snowland. It's like an iced over city. You've got that big city with the floodlights going on in the background. It's a very unique look. I quite like it.
Yeah, but I feel like that is almost to its detriment a bit. Like, there's none of the hallmarks you'd expect from an ice level. Like, there's no snowboarding, there's no breaking through the ice. If you switch the tile set from snow to a more general urban one, it wouldn't really make much of a difference. It doesn't it's got an ice theme, but it doesn't feel like an ice level, if you get my drift.
I think you're to make that joke. Yeah, I think you're right, and I think that's maybe one of the things about Sonic Advance too, and some of the Sonic Advance games is maybe they're a bit they're inventing a new form of Sonic play. As you see here, I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember why I never really got into this. It seems like it takes a lot of mastery. So I feel like everything has to kind of match a certain formula. Otherwise, if you had too many snow gimmicks, Sonic wouldn't be able to accelerate the same way he normally would, because there's definitely a real emphasis on speed and getting the best time here and working how to navigate the traps and tricks and everything.
Maybe, but I do feel like they are not afraid to use gimmicks in those games when, it makes sense. Obviously, we all, the Sonic Advance 2 level we all remember is Music Plant, because that's one of those, super distinct ones.
You know what? Good point.
And I feel like that one does a really good job of using its gimmick, whereas this one, there's really not much in the way of, ice, like I said, Ice Zone hallmarks. The closest thing we have is, the slide that Sonic sometimes gets stuck on, but it's how is that different from, the slides in a water level, for example?
That's true. I guess they're a bit more excited about working with a music level than they are a boring old ice level.
Is this level Luke's bah humbug moment?
Maybe a little bit.
Well, I mean, it's more like it's the aesthetics of it are very pretty, but its functionality falls short. Which I totally, and I may be remembering incorrectly. Again, it's been a while since I played it. I think there is a super cheap part in Act 2 right before the boss that takes you over the water or under it, depending on the path you take. And I remember several characters, you get to that and just fall through the water and die. And I remember, what I remember thinking, what a nasty way to cap off this, especially right before a boss. But yeah, now that I'm thinking, it has lots of rails. It has the spinning bars that let you do big jumps. But yeah, it really doesn't have anything unique to it as far as you could have thrown some little ice guys in there.
It's just a gentrified snowy location,
Yeah,
a little bit.
But it's fine. I know that Luke may not like this level as much, but he's got to love Sonic Advance 2, because you were mentioning how it's maligned for its over collectability, but we're dealing with the #1 Banjo-Kazooie enjoyer here. So collectible size.
Chris, I have a confession for you. I never collected all of the Chaos Emeralds in Sonic Advance 2.
Oh, well, this didn't have... the items didn't have, eyeballs and little squeaky voices. Yeah. That's probably
now,
the problem.
I don't have my original cartridge, so you'd have to take my word for it. I sure remember doing it, even though I'm remembering how hard it is to get the hang of the special stages in this one, because it's all about score multipliers and weird junk like that.
And don't get caught by zero.
Yes, but that is the only way to unlock Amy, and I remember unlocking Amy in that game.
It's the only way to unlock a lot of stuff, including Tiny Chow Garden.
Yeah.
Oh, really? You've got to unlock that, huh?
You could hook up to your GameCube via your link cable.
I'll just bust out Sonic Pinball Party. I think you'll be fine.
Yeah.
So all that said, where do we put it?
I would put it above Diamond Dust, honestly.
So I disagree. I definitely disagree there.
Fight.
You're the one fighting!
I mean, if I had to, I would put it above Icy Isle, because Icy Isle, as far as design goes, like we said, it's just kind of, it's made up of ice cubes. I think the design of Ice Paradise is very, very aesthetically pleasing, even if the functionality is a little bland.
Yeah, Icy Isle's got all the ice effects going for it. You feel like you're in an ice level, but you're also not having the best time of it.
So we're putting it above Icy Isle. Do we put it above Robotnik Winter?
I think Robotnik Winter pulls ahead because it's got the cool snowboard gimmick.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so I guess
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, above Icy Isle, below Robotnik Winter.
All right, then.
But in
Ice
my heart,
Paradise is our new number 4.
Future Jeremy, who's editing this, please play a flashback at the beginning where I said this would be a fun, chill episode, and now we're fighting.
Yeah, this is the last one of the year, and this is where Jake's like, nope, I've had enough.
I'm going to hang out with my wife.
He's married now. He's going to pull that card.
Although I'll tell you one thing, if we don't put the next one in last place, I quit the show.
Yeah,
Not really.
Oh, boy.
Strong words for White Acropolis from Sonic the Hedgehog 2006.
last place.
There it is.
Which, I tell you what, I did this with a couple ones, is I compared the vanilla version with Project 06, just so I wasn't, staring at raw gameplay of Sonic 06, and I still think the only thing I like this is the music. The music is some nice thumping good time, but
Yeah.
oh boy.
And
Recurring theme of Sonic 06.
Even the huge amount of improvements that Project 06 makes on specifically the Sonic snowboarding section at the beginning of this, it still looks a little rough. It looks best in the cutscene at the beginning of Shadow's campaign.
Yep.
That's about it, because the design itself is just generic mountain with lots of flat snow. And then, you've got some of the enemies, the robot enemies in this. They're Eggman robots, right? Yeah, that's right. You've got Eggman's robots that unfortunately kind of blend in, because a lot of them are very light silver and white. And then infiltrating the base, you've got the whole thing with the spotlights and lots of really obnoxious bright pink laser fences that seemingly randomly cordon off places, and it's just not good, folks. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Music is real good. I love the soundtrack for Sonic 2006, and this is a really good track, but nah.
It's one of those things where Project 06 do their best, but fundamentally the only way you can fix this is by throwing it all away and starting from scratch.
Yeah.
Yeah. You would have to remap a lot of these levels to be more interesting, and this feels like one of the worst.
I'm sorry, 06 stands, and I know you're legitimately out there. Any level is immediately behind the 8 ball by virtue, so to speak, of being in Sonic 06. But honestly, this isn't great. I feel like there are better looking levels in that game.
Yes.
And this one's just, I guess they were going for a kind of moody vibe, because it's got the dark clouds going on. There's a bit of a snowstorm going on, I think. But it's like a lot of things in this game, the design choices feel really drab.
Yes.
And with all those, Jeremy pointed, those bootleg Bionicle looking robots barely showing up.
Yeah.
If only they were Bionicles.
I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that in the vanilla game that the snowboarding just doesn't work at all.
Nope.
I remember it controls terribly. It's that is one thing that project that 06 adds is it seems to lack animations for Sonic on it. And in Project 06, he very intentionally like kicks his foot like he's regaining speed, like like you're pushing off on a skateboard or riding yourself on a snowboard. And that really does add a lot, like the little subtle animations. But yeah, he just looks a step above a T-pose in the vanilla game, and it's just not cool looking. Like you were saying the mooding of the level like fits Shadow more, and like it's I would cut Sonic out of this level completely because it does just clash with which I think is Shadow. You start maybe in a vehicle or can pick one up real early, and that's how you're approaching the base instead of on a goofy little snowboard. And it does fit like the tone of Shadow's campaign much better.
I do remember trying to handle that Jeep-looking thing in Shadow's campaign and not having a whole lot of luck because they were just decided, okay, we can't do the guns now, but we'll keep the vehicles. And I'm like, maybe you shouldn't have.
Yeah. Because I don't even think they control as good as they do in Shadow the Hedgehog, which also isn't very well.
No, I wanted to, like, with all the weird moodiness going about and trying to ride a Jeep, I was trying to, like, sing the Halo theme on my head so I could pretend I was riding a Jeep. But it was not happening. I was trying because if you're trying to force yourself to have a good time with Sonic 06, you try to pretend you're playing a good game instead. But there's only so much you can do with that fantasy. Also, you get to play as Rouge.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay putting that at the bottom.
Yep.
Icy Isle, welcome to the top 5.
Well, thanks, guys.
So let's jump forward a few years to Sonic Rush Adventure with Blizzard Peaks, which I really like the theming in this one. Like, it gets immediate points for, including snowboard half pipes and having all the grind rails be frosted over. Like, they are leaning hard into the ice theme.
Yes.
Yeah, as much as I remember loving the Rush games, I guess I forgot, and it's my fault for not looking up a video where someone isn't speedrunning it. I forgot in Rush Adventure how much you rely on doing the tricks to build up your boost meter, because the video I watched, that is what is happening 90% of the time, is the person is doing all the tricks with the loud noises, but... I'm coming around on the design of this one, that I like that there's a focus on the big, like, rainbowy crystals. Like, I guess, imagining that this is like a whole mountaintop range, like you said, that I like those little aesthetic bits in the backgrounds, which I remember looks super nice on the in the Rush games, taking advantage of the DS, the power of the DS.
This one's a nice level. What did I say? An ice level or a nice level?
Oh,
Nice. I will say, like, coming, and I know this is just immediacy, but like, coming to this from White Acropolis, I just sincerely appreciate the amount of color and the vibrancy, like in Sonic Advance 2's ice level.
Amen.
yeah.
And the boss level in this particular section of the game is, like, I've never played this game, so like watching videos is really the only way I could like experience it. It's so interesting, and I especially love like seeing it now. I love like the beginning part of it where you're on the little
ice flow.
Yeah, the little ice flow, just like out in the middle of nowhere, because it reminds me of the old Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer animation.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Man, let me tell you, I always love the bosses in the Rush games.
Yeah, and I think this one is like especially clever, even by the standards of those Rush battles, because it's this big giant whale enemy that you hit the weak spot to open up his mouth, and then you have to run through his innards with a time limit ticking down and hit a specific spot in there somewhere, but the route changes each time, and I think that's just so cool.
You have to Geppetto your way through this boss. That is great.
So here's a question I just thought of. Could it possibly be that this is the same whale from Adventures of Sonic that Robotnik...
Oh, no!
that Robotnik
they got roboticized
with the gun.
I choose to believe that is the link between those universes.
Well, this takes place in Blaze's dimension, so this could be that robot's dimensional counterpart.
I was going to say Eggman was like, I remember that whale was an asshole. He'll be back into my robot army.
That's how I got out of it.
We'd be remiss after bringing up Giga Thomas and Cameron if not remembering that the little torpedo pirate robot antagonist in Rush Adventure is just named Johnny.
Yep.
Yeah. Imagine a Sonic character named Johnny, says the STC fan.
I wonder if it's because of like Johnny Rocket.
I mean, his head is literally a rocket.
That might be it there.
I mean,
Could be.
It's a more memorable name than Ghost Whale.
Oh, is that the name of this guy?
Yeah, all of the bosses are named Ghost something or other.
Fair enough.
Ghost Whale sounds like
Ghost Whale.
a melodic, like symphonic metal group.
Yeah.
And now,
Yeah, I'm not remembering a lot of the lore in Sonic Rush Adventure. I might have to look that up. I remember Captain Whisker and all the little koala guys that are like part of Blazin' Marine's crew.
Yeah. Like, that would be an interesting one to revisit soon. We'll have to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like Blizzard Peaks. I'm not sure I love Blizzard Peaks. Like, I would be okay putting it at number 3 or 4. What do you guys think?
I might put it maybe right above Icy Isle again, below Ice Paradise. Because I'm also remembering the levels in Rush Adventure are a little odd to where it's not linear like the first Rush is. There's lots of exploring the different islands. Blizzard Peaks it's nice. It's just kind of, it's not as elaborate as I remember some of the other Rush levels being. But I'm not really too pressed about it. I think it's better than White Acropolis for certain.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's like anything coming after White Acropolis feels like a breath of fresh air. Or
like, it's for sure going to be somewhere between 3 and 5. It's a question, just kind of a question of where.
Yeah, the interesting thing is like it's kind of Sonic Advance in this game from what I've seen. Because again, like I said, I haven't played Sonic Rush Adventure, but from what I've seen, it seems like they have a kindred spirit of like the levels are designed around like going fast and mastering tricks and stuff like that, and so
it definitely is the precursor to like the modern boost gameplay.
Yeah. I mean, I would put it over Ice Paradise just because, like I said, I think it does a better job of using all the trappings of being an ice level.
Yep,
yeah.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I think between Paradise and Robotnik Winter.
I never played it either, so I just think it looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
But maybe that is
yeah,
the
of course it's cool. It's
contrast.
covered in ice.
Speaking of cool, what have we got? That's our next
That's a
on
good
our list.
segue. Speaking of which, we're moving on to Cool Edge from Sonic Unleashed, which might be one of my favorite ice levels, honestly.
Yeah,
I agree, even though, revisiting this one, which I played Unleashed a couple years ago. I played this again in Project Unleash, which is the Sonic Generations conversion mod, which is probably the way you should play this level.
Well, the Xbox Series X version runs pretty good.
Oh.
Yeah, that is true, but then, I mean, you also have to deal with the nighttime version of the stage. But I also love this. Of all of these stages in Unleashed where during the daytime you're running on water, I think this one works the most, whereas it does a really good job of mostly, I remember there are a few areas to where it's pretty easy to get turned around. Telegraphs, like the safe places you can go so you're not just running out of bounds and drowning. And the little ice sled can be a little finicky, but I forgive both of those things because this is a gorgeous level. It has some of the best music in the game. I love the whales, the giant humpback whales. Oh, they're such a nice element of a vague callback to Sonic and whales, except these are helping
I was about
him.
to say, is this one of the few times where he doesn't fight a whale?
Yes. Well, is that because orcas are technically dolphins and those are the spawn of Satan? Yeah, I think that's what they're trying to say. But yes, this level is going high up on my list because it brings all of the positive experiences of Unleashed back to the forefront of my mind.
So this is the part where I become a big old Grinch, because I'm like the only person in this call who's not the world's biggest Sonic Unleashed fan. I've tried with hindsight going back, and don't get me wrong, this level is fine for me, because it's actually one of the better daytime stages, which I've gotten... I've come to terms with the fact that I'm okay with the boost stages. Maybe that's because I went to play Sonic Colors after this, and I was like, okay, this works now. So I would go back with that knowledge, and I'm like, yeah, alright, this is a fun little ice level. It definitely leans into the ice stuff. There's just always this part of me that when Sonic Unleashed comes up, I'm like, bah, humbug. That game, the one where you've got to farm all those coins to get around, and there's all these weird Pixar human people that everyone loves, but I think make me uncomfortable, and Chip is there. Bah, patooey. But this one's alright. I do like that they lean into the concept here. And plus you can just watch this level. It's just like with some of the other ones where you're watching someone who knows how to play it well and has probably leveled up their character significantly to the point that they can play it really well. When you watch it, it looks really nice. So
yeah, shout outs to the person who, again, the playlist Luke made also included the nighttime version, the Werehog level. Shout outs to that person for muting their in-game audio and inserting the level music after the fact so you can actually hear it. Don't have to deal with the Werehog battle theme interrupting every time you encounter an enemy. Yeah, I mean, that's where I get to be grumpy, where the music in that Werehog section is gorgeous, and I like the lighting in that, the fact that it's a nighttime stage. The lighting is real nice. There's some Aurora Borealis going on. Background. But oh man, I remember that being one of the where the Werehog really starts to fall apart with all of the puzzles and, hey, climb up this wall and don't fall, because instead of going back to the bottom of the section, you'll just die. And woof, yeah. But
you brought up Aurora Borealis, and I'm just imagining, good lord, what is happening in there?
Yeah, I think that in both the daytime and the nighttime level, this really uses the ice theming well. Like, you've got the bobsledding, you've got the breakable ice walls, you've got the fire enemies that you can use to melt specific areas to open up doors, you've got the falling icicles you have to jump across from Adventure, you got the slides, you got all this different stuff. And I think that as far as just using its ice theming goes, I think this one does a really good job of it.
I like the idea in my head, the possibility that the nightmare creatures and maybe some of the robots, they got bored while waiting for something to do, so they made like little like snow reindeer and snow animals everywhere.
Yeah,
and even like ice sculptures.
I mean, with the time you're waiting for the Werehog to get around, you might as well.
Yeah.
I know that Xbox version runs fine, but I do like the ability to just go play this level and this level alone in, like I said, the Project Unleashed for Generations, or other ways that you can get this running like it should. Don't play it on original hardware if you can help it.
Like there are better official ways to do it and better unofficial ways to do it.
That's probably what I should have done, to be honest. Because not the most fun time playing it as the Lord intended, I suppose.
It was a game that was in a lot of ways ahead of its time, and they just couldn't handle what it was trying to do. So yeah, I really like Cool Edge. I might put this at number 2 or number 3.
I'd be happy with that as well. Just looking at the whole package, even minor gripes aside. At the end of the day, Rooftop Run, I think, is my favorite Unleashed stage, and I think there's a reason it made it into Generations as well, but this is a close number 2.
I will accept it being up there because you guys had a good time.
You said the stage was fine.
Yeah, no, it is. If we're talking about the daytime one specifically, then I had a good time.
Yes, I'm also agree with those qualifiers.
So
let's say we put it at number 3.
That seems like a reasonable compromise.
Yes.
I think that's fair, but just because the werehog part of it is just it can be very grating, but the daytime part is just so good.
It does drag it down a tiny bit, I think.
Mhm. That is a good thing about Sonic Unleashed is a lot of the levels are very like self-contained. Like even though like to progress through the game you have to do all of them, there is like it's like some of the little bonus levels that are shorter. You're like, oh yeah, I didn't like that one, but it doesn't take away from the main level.
Well, speaking of taking away from the main level, White Park from Sonic 4 Episode 2, which is half of an ice stage.
Okay, now can I say like Sonic 4 episodes 1 and 2 are bad. Like I don't think there's much argument to be made there that on a whole they're just not very good. I forgot, and maybe this is just my my personal taste. I thought this level was gorgeous.
Oh yeah, it's a really pretty level.
I love all the stuff going on in the background. I'm now really loving that this is the location used in that little Chow Race arc in the IDW comics, and seeing like, oh yeah, there's the roller coaster and the ski lodge, and it basically comes down to, and maybe this in the next game we're going to talk about, I wish it was in a better playing game because I actually really like the look of this level.
I think this is definitely like one of the stages that is the most distinct in the entire Sonic 4 saga.
And this is the one that gets the Metal Sonic boss fight.
Yeah.
That's true. What's interesting about like like Sonic 4 Episode 1, boy howdy, it mainly what it was going for is here's a Sonic level, but we've just remade it and renamed it and made it worse. For this one, they did that with 2 levels. In this case, we're getting a combination of essentially Ice Cap and Carnival Night Zone. So it's like a Sonic 3 double-decker special. I kind of like it.
Carnival Night Zone or Twinkle Park Zone, which they straight up just used part of the music in.
Yes, I wanted to bring that up too, is like, oh, I know that. Speaking of, there's also a Twinkle Park track in Sonic 3D Blast.
That was from the Panic Puppet Zone, I believe.
Yeah. Like, just bringing it all back around, folks. Yeah, I really like the music in this. I feel like it strikes the perfect balance of being incredibly busy. Like, there's lots of stuff going on in the background, but it does manage to not, like, your character doesn't seem to get lost too much.
Right.
Which again, the platforming, it's a little bit better in episode 2 compared to 1, I would think, but it's still not setting the world on fire. But yeah, I was like pleasantly surprised.
Well, I hope not. It's an ice zone that it all melts and the roller coaster would just go down in flames.
Oh no.
This is also the one that kind of introduces essentially a super badnik, which I kind of like. Snowy the polar bear.
Oh yeah.
He's quite cool.
He takes more than just your standard bop on the head to get past.
Called Snowy in English and Bearer in Japanese.
Now, how do you spell that?
Because I see it. Oh no!
You figured it out.
Yeah, I even like the Metal Sonic skirmish at the end of this, where you're hopping between the foreground and background.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's cool, but my brain basically blocked out the fact that Act 3 of this zone exists. Like, had completely forgotten it was there until I, rewatched a video to refresh myself. It's like, I like the idea of enemies in a water level that can freeze the water while you're in it. That's a cool gimmick, but I'm just not a fan of watery labyrinths to begin with for obvious reasons. So
yeah.
It kind of takes a few points off in my book for that.
Yeah, it does bring it down a lot. Because, yeah, in my mind, even recounting it, I'm like, oh, yeah, Acts 1 and 2 and then Metal Sonic. Like, oh, no, there is a whole third act that's all underwater and very slow, except you're using the Tails combo move to swim occasionally.
Yeah.
I don't think this level ever really, dedicates itself to being an ice level. Only for the first and second act and the first and third act, and the third act, as you mentioned, is mostly a water level and not a very good one.
Yeah,
unfortunately. And it's a shame because, like you said, this is like such a distinct level, but it's just, I don't think it quite gets there in terms of what we're looking for out of an ice level. Not for lack of trying, because they've got a lot of the hallmarks: slippery floors, snowboards, avalanches, digging through snow, which is cool.
But only for like one part of it.
Yeah.
Like I said, at the end of the day, I wish it was in a better game.
So where do we want to put this one on the list?
This is kind of... Do you know what's weird? You mentioned like this shows up in IDW, and that almost makes me want to put it higher because of my association with that rather cool little storyline. But I have to judge it as a level, and as a level, it's...
I'd rank it somewhere around the middle, I think.
Yeah, maybe down there with Blizzard Peaks and Ice Paradise.
Yeah, that seems
I think
like
right in between.
Yeah, that seems like a reasonable place to put it.
Yeah, I think so.
It does get boosted for its association and other media. That's just what it comes down to. And the fact that it has a Metal Sonic fight, you know what? That does help.
Yeah.
Yep. Metal Sonic boosts it too. But yeah, that is still one of my... It's very low stakes as far as like IDW stories go, but it is one of my favorites. It's a great little... You got Chow races. You got Rouge has got fun outfits on. That's where they introduce the... I interpret him as a like a big New Orleans green possum ne'er-do-well fella who's there with the Chow races. Yeah, and then you end up on, isn't it Starline on the roller coaster?
Yep.
With Sonic and Shadow? Yeah, it's good stuff. Go read that, folks.
Yeah, it's real good. But yeah, White Park, our new number 6. So let's jump ahead one more year to Sonic Lost World with Frozen Factory.
Now, speaking of pretty levels that I wish were in games that felt better to play.
Yeah.
This is way up there, because it has been a long time since I've played any of Lost World. I think that there's a PC version that I think there exists some pretty neat mods out there. Like, who thought holding a trigger the entire time to make Sonic run fast was a good idea?
Yeah.
But man, this level is also pretty. Like, I love the you could argue blisteringly bright primary colors of Sonic Lost World.
Right.
It really gels with me.
Yeah.
And I love the even again now with hindsight, the very Mario Galaxy inspired floating levels this one opens up with.
Oh yeah.
Oh, surely you mean Sonic Extreme.
Yeah, that's true. But there are some really like subtle touches that I like when Sonic is on slippery floors, he literally ice skates and does like a pirouette when he jumps. That's a great touch.
Yep, it's so nice. That carries over into the 4th stage, which is a 2D section, and it's a very nice little animation, and it's a very cute little jump.
Yeah, and I love the music in these stages as well.
I think my issue with this is because, like with Sonic 3D Blast, it's kind of like creating a new like formula of levels and just sort of like adding like a new coat of paint to each one. Like, here's the desert one, here's the snow one, and they've all got like the checkerboard pattern. It's still really pretty to look at, but it does feel a bit uniform.
Yeah. Looking at it as a package as a whole.
I appreciate that they kind of break that up a little bit, at least in a couple of them, by also mixing it with the kind of industrial theme and having all these factory elements, like the tubes and stuff.
Yeah, I completely forgot that right in the middle of this is straight up Casino Night.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's not just it's a casino, level. Like, oh no, this is Casino Night. There's the little dudes with the shields. Here's the pinball machine, which, hey, another pinball section we forgot about.
Don't care.
But not really, because it's bad. I don't remember this one, being particularly good either, as far as here's a pinball table. But yeah, I love the, I can't 100% remember how it worked, but I kind of love the little gimmick of not only are you picking up rings in Casino Night, but you're picking up like just loose change, or I guess tokens, to make it that follow you through the level to make it through to the exit. That I think gives like massive bonus points and whatnot.
Yeah, the one really glaring issue with this set of stages, though, is Act 2.
Yeah.
Because that's the one where you play as Sonic and the Big Snowball. And it is so miserable to control, especially on Wii U, because you
Yep.
had to use motion controls, as I recall,
Oh gosh, you did. Yeah.
no.
and tilt the tablet.
Yeah, I remember dying a lot when I was playing that particular level.
Yeah, and the gimmick was you could roll over the rings and pick them up, but they wouldn't be collected until you hit the checkpoint.
It's a cute idea visually for like the first 30 seconds until you realize you have to play the whole level and a mini boss, I believe. I do think they at least put a nice bow on it. Is after you beat the level, Sonic does his little victory breakdance end of act, but still inside the snowball, so it's just the snowball bouncing around for a second. It's one of those cute little ideas. But yeah, basically, it's very pretty. I love the music. That the snowball one is real bad, but again, I wish it was in a game that wasn't Sonic Lost World.
Yeah.
Which, isn't, again, it's one of those that I look back on like, yeah, that wasn't a total disaster, but also was just obtuse enough to where it just doesn't occupy a super heavy portion of my, good Sonic memories.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So where do we want to put it in the list?
Oh man, it's hard to get by on just design and music, although we kind of just did that with White Park. I would probably put it under White Park because, again, as much as I do like the design and the colors of like the big floating stages, like the Casino Night area is kind of bland as far as it's a lot of big colorful boxes and not really, objects.
Oh no, there's a part in the factory where you're doing like the screw sections from Metropolis Zone.
Yep.
I don't like that. That's one of the parts I didn't like about Sonic 2. So they gave us that again. That puts it down further.
Those are not fun either.
I would be okay putting it somewhere around 7 or 8.
Yeah, maybe above Icy Isle.
Yeah, above Icy Isle for sure. It's just a question of, do we also put it above Ice Paradise? Because I think White Park is a better stage.
Me personally, I put it under Ice Paradise just because I think Ice Paradise just straight up controls better. I know it's not. I know it doesn't commit to like the iciness as well, but just like
you're probably gonna have more fun.
Yeah, honestly, you'll have a lot more fun with Icy Paradise or Ice Paradise rather.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you're right.
All right, then we will make Frozen Factory our new number 8. All right, so we are entering the home stretch, and next up is one of the more obscure zones on our list that I don't know that anybody else besides me has actually played. Kodiak Frontier from Sonic Boom, Fire, and Ice.
I didn't realize that this is the opening level, so I played some of this, booting the game up to make sure it runs. And I mean, you've talked about you just played through those games. This is a nice little level.
Yeah.
This is a good introduction to this, sequel to the Sonic Boom 3DS game.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, there's a little bit of ice in all of the levels just because, that's the theme of the game, but this is the one that is very definitely the ice level. And I actually really like this one compared to a lot of the others because it's ice, but it's also mixed with the forest aesthetic as opposed to most of the ice levels in the list where it's either just all ice or it's like a mountain region or something like that. Whereas this one is, it's definitely themed more after the Pacific Northwest of America, in the Alaska type regions. Because it's got the forest mixed with it and a lot of kind of handcrafted elements by whatever indigenous tribes are living in the area. And I think that goes a long way to giving it an identity beyond any of these other ice levels.
That's kind of like it's Western, it's created by a Western studio, right? So,
Yeah.
I feel that inspiration is quite noticeable.
Yeah,
For sure.
I kind of by the stage design and like you said, the cold foresty look to all of it. I kind of get Donkey Kong Country vibes from it.
Yeah, it's a lot like, late game Tropical Freeze.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Lots of spiky plants too. Yeah, and it also has the benefit of, again, opening up this game with a couple of pretty charming cutscenes from Boom, Sonic, and Amy here.
Yeah, those are just straight up the show. Unlike the cutscenes in I think the console game. Oh god, those just seem to be constructed from the actual show itself.
Like they had the benefit of being a follow-up to the unfortunately, ultimately failed spin-off franchise.
Yeah, there's still a lot of in-engine cutscenes in this game, but the few CG scenes you get are really good.
Yeah, even the in-engine stuff, like, for a 3DS game at the time, like, did not look bad either. Yeah. You know, real easy to write this one off of, like, it's a licensed, Western-developed title spin-off of Sonic. Like, it did not have to look as good as it does, but it's a nice-looking game.
Yeah, and side note, I really like the, use of the dual screen for the bosses in these games. Like, especially, this is one of the first one that really demonstrates it, where you've got the boss, like, it's moving around on the top screen while you're also controlling Sonic on the bottom screen, avoiding attacks, and I appreciate that use of verticality.
It's a nice gimmick that doesn't feel held back by the fact that they're, like, using the 3D and the dual screens.
Yeah.
It makes me want to get to these games eventually, because I like the switching between characters to, like, oh, here's a block that Amy can hit with her hammer, and here's a speedy section for Sonic.
Well, hold on a second. The Sea Fox is in this?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just looking at the video. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a little RC thing that Tails drives.
And his propeller is literally his tails. That's pretty great. Yeah, I got to play this game. It's really hard to judge it based on just footage because there's a lot of this since like a lot of the game is ice, since it's fire and ice. But
yeah, but
this is pretty cool.
The point is, I really like the theming in this level, and I would like. It's fun to play. It uses the ice theme well. I would honestly rank it probably higher up than a lot of the ones we've been looking at so far.
Just my gut says put it like above Blizzard Peaks as far as I think it takes the like you said, a similar theming of mountainous but really has its own design identity. Like I feel like getting to like Blizzard Peaks and some of those down there, that some of them do blend together. It's like, oh yeah, this is an ice Sonic level, but this one, like you said, this one really does stand out on its own.
Yeah, I might even be tempted to put it above Robotnik Winter.
Ooh, I don't know.
But this does have the benefit of like being part of a game with like such a heavy ice theme, like I was saying. So they can really lean into the ice here, like if it's such a big part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think it really like if you want an wintry experience from your Sonic, you're gonna get that here.
Yeah.
Also, really reminding me of when you could play as the other characters.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think I'm feeling it right above Robotnik Winter and right below Cool Edge.
Okay.
All right, then.
But I'm just one man.
I'm okay with that if everyone else is.
All right, then let's make...
Like we're treating this very seriously.
Then let's make Kodiak Frontier our new number 4. And finally, we get to the last zone on our list. Press Garden from Sonic Mania.
So this is technically a winter level throughout, but you don't know at first.
It does lose points a little bit because it spends all of Act 1 in Robotnik's newspaper factory or whatever. But
yeah. Can I show my arse and say that it took me probably 3 or 4 playthroughs to realize the press garden, what that meant, and I was like, oh, it's newspaper. And then it carries on into Act 2 where like, oh, here is the forest being harvested to make the newspaper, and now it is one of my favorites for certain. It's hard to narrow down my favorite original levels in Sonic Mania, but boy, this is up there because again, the second half is the wintry part, but it's so good.
Yes.
I love all of the little gimmicks with having to get frozen in the ice cube, and every single character sprite stuck in the ice cube is hilarious and adorable, and it's great stuff.
I will say, like, this really happens like the moment you beat the Act 1 boss and the snow starts coming down, and then you step forward through into Act 1 and the whole garden opens up for you. You finally see the garden bar, and suddenly you're like taken into this whole new world. Oh, I love this.
Yeah, I love the little touches like the wood chipper platforms you can jump on that immediately start grinding down the the part of the tree you're using, and just great stuff like that. All the little isn't there specifically a badnik that still explodes and turns into an ice cube even if you hit it?
Yeah, there's just a lot to love in this level, but it's a little harder for me because of the fact that it is, only half of an ice level.
Yeah.
That is true.
Technically. It does even have an ice-themed boss, the ninja
the Heavy Shinobi, who is basically just one big homage to Shinobi.
Mm-hmm. Yep, even throws the those godforsaken starfish from Metropolis Zone.
So it's kind of appropriate that this whole act is very like a Japanese garden. So that's kind of like prefacing the fact they're going to be fighting a ninja.
Yeah, like I believe they said that their inspiration was based on like a real life Japanese shrine that had a lot of like industrialization going on in that area around it. So it makes sense given the context. It's still a really good zone, but I just wish that it had leaned a bit more into... Well, I guess I don't really wish that because I really like the dynamic that it has between Act 1 and Act 2, but for the purposes of this list, I'm not sure.
Yeah. I was going to say from an aesthetic point of view, I just think it's a nice little touch that you have the snowflakes constantly falling that are just like the tiny little like diamonds, like pointy little diamonds. But you also, it's an interesting contrast between that and then like the different like either red or pink leaves or petals that fall down. And like you said, it's supposed to be like a Japanese, I guess like kind of like a sakura garden. And I don't know, just like from a color standpoint, it just looks interesting and I dig it. I like it.
Like you said, it's purely for the sake of this list, but that Act 1 is really good too.
Yeah.
Like I love the bouncing up to the high paths using the the different gears and paths and stuff like that. And the elevator. I love the scary pressing elevators in that game where you have to jump through the boxes before it crushes the whole platform you're on.
Oh yeah.
And like the ice springs as well. That's a nice touch.
Yeah, the single use.
I just think, like Jake was saying, like aesthetically, I don't think there are any other stages. Like we've covered a lot of ice stages, and this one is the most original looking of the whole bunch. I think
for sure.
Like palette wise, and generally the theme they've got going on. Plus the music.
Oh yeah.
Like like the first track is great. The second track, God rest his soul, I will always remember Etika's reaction to coming across the music in the press garden Act 2 and just vibing out to it. That's where we're all at. This is some of T. Lopez's best stuff.
Yeah. So it is hard to divorce those feelings just ranking wintry Sonic levels, but it's up there for me.
Yeah.
It hasn't been that long since I played Mania, but yeah, just remembering the gorgeous sprite, character sprites and how they match with, seemingly somehow manage to match with every level, and just look right at home and are beautifully animated. So the whole thing is just an experience.
Yes.
I just think I'm like biased because it's Sonic Mania and I love Sonic Mania.
Yeah.
I've been doing my best to divorce my feelings on the individual games from my feelings on these as ice levels up to this point, but
that's fair.
This one's tougher to do that with, but we must make that choice.
I don't know if I'm ready to put it above Ice Cap, but I'd be happy with number 2.
It does.
I don't know if I can put it at number 2 because I really love Diamond Dust.
I have to say, like, I am with Luke on the sense of it doesn't commit to being a winter level, only for Act 2. So that does kind of lower it a little bit. So if we're like ranking wonderful Sonic stages, it's high up there.
Oh, yeah.
But if we're ranking specifically wonderful ice levels, it's harder to rank it higher because of the fact that it's only halfway an ice level.
I will admit, I'm tempted to put it right above Kodiak Frontier.
Yeah, I'm hovering somewhere around there, either right above or right below Kodiak Frontier. So either number 4 or number 5.
I think it's just the benefit of this team working on this and making such a wonderful level You know, that's it all came together to create a lovely experience. And when you do get to that winter act, it's very wintry.
Yeah.
It's there's some cool feelings there.
Yeah, I'd push for it to be number 4 on this one,
I'd be okay with
right
that.
below Cool
Yeah.
Edge.
Yeah, I can accept that.
Okay, then let us put Press Garden at number 4. With that, we have our full list. So recapping from the bottom up. Number 12, White Acropolis from Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. Number 11, Icy Isle from Sega Sonic the Hedgehog. Number 10, Frozen Factory from Sonic Lost World. Number 9, Ice Paradise from Sonic Advance 2. Number 8, White Park from Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 2. Number 7, Blizzard Peaks from Sonic Rush Adventure. Number 6, Robotnik Winter from Sonic Triple Trouble. Number 5, Kodiak Frontier from Sonic Boom Fire and Ice. Number 4, Press Garden from Sonic Mania. Number 3, Cool Edge from Sonic Unleashed. Number 2, Diamond Dust from Sonic 3D. And number 1, to literally nobody's surprise, Ice Cap from Sonic 3 and Sonic Adventure and Sonic Drift. And
We knew
that's
that
all.
going in. It does have the benefit of not just being one of the best ice levels in Sonic 3, but also one of the best ice levels in Sonic Adventure. It stacked the deck in its favor.
Oh, yeah.
It can't help.
Mhm.
If we were ranking them separately, maybe that would have been more difficult, but we did.
If we ranked them separately, Ice Cap 3 would be number 1 and Ice Cap Adventure would be number 2.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty
And
much.
Ice Cap Drift would be in there somewhere.
fair. Yeah. But it would exist. I do feel a bit sad that we didn't do a song for that. Oh, the 12th
That
dice
would
level
take
of
so
Sonic,
long.
my true love gave
That
to
would
me.
take so long.
Well, before we wrap up, can we do a special mention of the snow versions of all the tracks from Sonic R?
Yeah.
Because I'm just remembering how much I like those.
Where you can-
But they don't really count.
They don't really count, but I do use those snow versions often to just cheat my way through the stages and cut across the water and whatnot. So I respect it.
They don't change the music. It's like, can you feel the snowfall? Does it make things really cold? Don't you feel really stiff now in winter while you're old? I don't know.
When you see release dates, does it make you feel old?
Oh god, yeah.
Honestly, there's a lot of snow zones that we didn't do for different reasons because we weren't super familiar with them, or they were just frozen versions of existing zones, or in some cases they came from other games, and it just didn't make a whole lot of sense.
But it was a lot.
Yeah,
as
we
well.
had to cut it down substantially. I mean, there's other icy levels I like Ice Factory from Sonic Riders, and I had another one that had died, and I think it's funnier this way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, really, it's mobile stuff or
Crystal Mountain Zone from
the-
Sonic Rivals.
Yeah.
And the rest.
And the rest, yeah, the Roblox blocks game that I'm definitely never going to play ever.
There's some levels in Sonic Forces that have snow falling, but they're not really ice levels, and it's meh.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
doesn't count. Although I do still like the weird mix in Forces of the jungle level that is also a casino.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
Sure, why not?
Honestly, all things considered, I'm happy with the 12 we picked, and I'm happy with the order in which we placed them.
I am
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I just really like ice levels. Not always playing them so much because you're often doing slippy slidey stuff, but not really in Sonic as much, so that's why they're good here. But I just like snowy levels and with snowy music that make you feel all warm inside despite them being cold, you know?
Yeah. And I think it's a nice way to kind of close off this, well, I guess not a full year for us, but the first year of existence for The Hill is Always Greener.
Yeah.
An ice way.
Eh.
This past year, he says, looking at the calendar, oh dear, there's still more left for us in this current time of recording. But this has been a fun time talking about Sonic.
Yep.
And there's more to come,
Yes.
even though we've still yet to reach our actual year mark. But it's significant enough.
Yeah, the end of a calendar year. This is coming out right before New Year's, I believe, and so yeah, we are reminiscing on everything we've done.
Yeah, it's been.
We made it through another year, he says, hoping this ages well.
Well, if everything explodes, nobody will ever know our bad hindsight.
For all the ups and downs of this year in general, doing this podcast, as I said last time, has been an absolute joy to do with you guys on a regular basis, and I look forward to continuing to do so in the year to come.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Samesies.
It's been such was that extra little push that we needed to give ourselves to make sure that we get together and hang out on a more regular basis. And it has been so much fun. I mean that absolutely sincerely.
I've had a lot of fun on this podcast, and it's been really cool to just learn so much and be more exposed to, just Sonic stuff in general. And, I love Sonic, and it's great to learn like different lore. It's great to learn different fan games and different things about games that I even feel like sometimes I know like frontwards and backwards. and like Jeremy said, it's been wonderful to be able to do this on a pretty regular basis and just be able to hang out with you guys more often.
For sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
There is always something new to learn about Sonic. That becomes more true every passing week, every passing day.
I know, seriously.
There's always something hiding under the surface of Sonic that just becomes unleashed sooner or later.
At the risk of being too on the nose, we've only just seen the tip of the iceberg.
Hey! Well, everybody, thank you so much for listening to this episode. It was definitely a very interesting and fun episode. It kind of felt like an audio form of one of those YouTube tier list videos. Again, thank you so much for listening to this, not only this episode, but this series as it's gone on throughout the year. And we look forward to starting this new year with y'all in a very fun way. Before we get to what we're going to tease, you can find me on all the socials, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and even Twitch at RockTheJake. And actually, Twitch is Mr. RockTheJake. Come check me out. I'm starting to stream a little bit more. I'm trying to get into a little bit of that competitive Dragon Ball FighterZ scene. I'm not good enough yet, but but maybe by the time this episode comes out, I'll still not be good enough.
But I have been Jeremy. I am GameBuddy on most socials. You can find me on Twitter at Great Job Jeremy, and that's GR and the number 8.
I'm Luke. You can find me on Twitter at CyberLink420.
I am Chris. I keep forgetting to call myself by my actual name, but that is it. But you can also know me as Faulerro, and you can find me at all the socials, most likely, at FAULERRO. That's how it goes.
Yes. And of course, as always, thank you so much to Amy Waters for the use of our theme song from the album Gotta Go Slow. You can check out more of her work on YouTube and Bandcamp, and you can also follow her on Twitter and Instagram at Amy Waters Music. And please, as you're listening to this, remember to subscribe to the podcast and also rate it and review it and share it on both podcast forums and also on YouTube, because we release it in both ways. Because either way you consume it, either way you listen or watch it, the reviews and the commenting and especially the sharing is extremely helpful for us to be able to get this out there. And, as we always try to say with this podcast, we try to be very positive and fun with it. And, of course, not everything's not 100% positive, but
sometimes we have to talk about White Acropolis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we try to make this a very fun, positive space. And especially with, some of the discourse that you can see on different websites when it comes to Sonic, we need positive spaces to be able to just talk about, hey, this is what we really enjoy about the Blue Hedgehog. So, and the way you contribute to that is with reviewing and sharing and commenting and all that good stuff.
Oh, I like the way Jake puts it, because it sounds way less like begging.
I told you I could pull it off.
I'm proud of you.
As we enter into this new year, we got to talk about it a lot throughout this episode, and we are going to have a double header of a couple episodes talking about Sonic 3D Blast.
Or Sonic 3D Flicky's Island, depending on where you're from.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
That's true.
Yeah, so we're it'll be it'll be very fun to go into that game because I know myself I've played it a good bit, but it'll be good to do a deeper dive of it for this next episode.
Yeah, this is one I mentioned already, holds a, kind of a special cordoned off place in my heart because I don't think it's anybody's favorite classic era Sonic game, but I don't think it's as bad as its reputation precedes it. And I'm very interested in experiencing the versions of the game that I've never touched, like the PC, the Saturn version, and hearing some of that new music that I'm not familiar with.
See, this is going to be a very important episode for me because that PC version was the first Sonic game I ever owned.
All right.
Yep.
This is going to be an interesting one for me.
Kicking off the year with the game that kicked off your Sonic fandom, I suppose.
In a manner of speaking.
I think that wraps up everything for us. And again, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode. I have been RockTheJake.
I'm GameBuddy.
I'm CyberLink.
And I'm Faulerro. And this has been The Hill is Always Greener for year one, kind of, 2022. And hey, Sonic, that's a good look for you. Festive.
Hey, nice.
You really hate that game.
Topical.
I fucking hate it so. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Oh, Christmas has passed. Well,
Yeah, I told you until the courts prove otherwise.